JJ the Supersonic Bus by Sue Wickstead. This one! This is the bus we want. It had been a while since JJ had felt wanted. He remembered how he had once been just an ordinary bus taking passengers on their many journeys. JJK 261 Route B. More recently, JJ had begun to feel tired and old. He might break down, splutter to a halt, or just not start properly in the morning. He had been sent to the dreary, dirty scrapyard, where all the old buses were sent to end their days. This made him feel useless and unwanted. He prepared himself to stand alone and miserable, gathering dust, broken down for parts, or worst of all, left to rust. The only thing that happened in the last few weeks had been a visit from some cheeky children who had come along to play on him. They had climbed inside and pretended to be bus drivers. They had been a little rough and boisterous as they played, running noisily up and down the stairs, but JJ hadn't minded too much because he was enjoying their adventure too. He was glad of their company and knew they were just using their imagination. The angry man in the breaker's yard didn't think so, and had chased them away with shouts of, "Too dangerous! It's not safe!" Dangerous? JJ had thought to himself. Not safe? Why am I not safe? The words had hurt him, and sadly JJ had resigned himself to being left alone, with only the spiders spinning webs for company. But today was different. He had watched as 3 people had arrived at the scrapyard. They had looked around at the buses in the yard. He was worried that maybe they had come to take a few of his pieces, to take him apart and break him up, but no. They seemed to be muttering to the man in the yard about taking all of him. What do they want me for? JJ wondered. He listened curiously, trying to understand what was going on. The men were talking about children and play. He wondered if he was in trouble following his boisterous visitors. The conversation sounded interesting, and JJ couldn't help but feel a little excited. There was a moment's pause, and JJ held his breath, watching as the people talked amongst themselves, checking through their paperwork. Then, with a shake of a hand, a deal was done. JJ breathed a sigh of relief. "I wonder where I am off to," he thought to himself. "I hope it is better than this." One of the men climbed aboard and started the engine. It had been a while, so it took a few spluttering attempts before JJ eventually grumbled into action. JJ felt nervous and excited. He had no idea where he was going, but felt safe in the hands of the driver, who steered him carefully out of the scrapyard and onto the busy roads. He made his way hesitantly, his joints creaking a little after being sat still for so long. He could feel his engine warming up. Purring loudly, he drove along the dusty roads, taking in the sights and sounds. It had been so long since he had been taken out for a drive, and it was a lovely feeling to be moving again, with the feel of warm diesel racing through his pipes and the breeze through his radiator. He felt alive and excited. "This is great," beamed JJ to himself. After some time, JJ eventually came to a shuddering halt. He looked up at the important-looking buildings and huge garage doors in front of him. "What is this place?" wondered JJ. All was revealed as the doors noisily began to open. Lorries, aeroplanes. This must be an airport. JJ had seen aeroplanes before, but not up close like this. They had always seemed so small when flying over him up high in the sky, but here on the ground they towered over him on their huge wheels, with their wings spread out wide. "What am I doing here?" he thought. He heard a voice of one of the mechanics echo across the hangar. "Look," he called, "here's our magic bus." "Magic bus?" wondered JJ curiously. "Surely they can't be talking about me." The word magic went through JJ's mind. What's so magic about me? The men were talking about children and play once again, of new houses and school holidays. They said that the children would need somewhere safe to play, and that he was going to help out. Here in the hangar, where the aeroplanes were repaired, he was going to be turned into a play bus full of all the exciting things to help the children play. A bus full of imagination. He would drive to the children, visiting them wherever they were. He would light up their lives with colour and happiness. Wow, thought JJ. I like children and I love to play. JJ was so excited he would be getting a new life and a new purpose. He would not have to be broken up for scrap. And to JJ this was the magic part. And so the work began. The first task was to take out all the seats from inside the bus, both upstairs and downstairs. This is strange, thought JJ. Where will the children sit? But this was the exciting part. The children didn't need to sit down. He wouldn't need to drive them around. There were regular buses for that. Their journeys would be filled with play. Their journeys would be in their imagination. The next few weeks saw JJ transformed into a bright, colourful masterpiece. He was cleaned inside and given a new, bright and sparkly coat of paint. Upstairs, they put in a carpet area. Cupboards were built and stuffed full to the brim with exciting new toys for the children to choose to play with. Here were toys and games, bricks for building, a train track, a doll's house, and lots of soft toys. There were books to read and puzzles to put together. Best of all, there was a little home corner with tea sets and crockery. The cupboard there was full of fancy dress clothes and hats to dress up in, everything to make the home cozy and warm. Downstairs, they made an area where children could paint, draw and make models with glue. Here they could do all the messy creative things. There was Play-Doh to squash, roll out and mould. There was even a sandpit too. This looks fun, thought JJ excitedly. And now all they needed was to make his outside just as bright as colourful too. This would attract the attention of the children and get them running to come and explore. Onto the outside, a slide could be fitted where the children would climb up and race down the bonnet of the bus. They'll love this, thought JJ. JJ was painted in bright, bold colours. It had pictures of children with smiling, happy faces. He was especially pleased that they had painted an aeroplane along both of his sides. With his colourful new coat, JJ raced happily along the road beside the runway. He watched as the aeroplanes roared along, lifting up into the sky, and he wondered where they were off to. He would race along the road beside them, but no matter how fast he drove and no matter how hard he tried to use the speed bumps to help him jump up high and fly, he stayed firmly on the ground. If only they had fitted me with wings, sighed JJ. Oh well, I suppose with all my precious cargo of new toys I might be safer on the ground. But now, most importantly, he was given a new name for his new start. Of course, JJ was only his registration number. His name was painted brightly along his sides. Supersonic. I like my new name, thought JJ, and he knew he would fly in the imagination of his many new friends. He might not actually be able to fly, but he knew it would be a great reminder of his airport days and of the fun he had chasing the planes along the runway. After many days of work, JJ the Supersonic Bus was ready to meet the children. He felt a little sad to be leaving the airport, but he was also very excited to be getting a new life and a new start. When he saw all the smiling faces of the children who came out to meet him, he felt proud and happy to be helping out, and he knew what an important job it was. He loved how the children laughed and played, both inside and outside the bus. It made him feel tingly inside. Wherever he went, the children would run excitedly to see their play bus, and they loved him. The children loved to paint, and JJ, the Supersonic Bus, didn't mind getting a few splashes over him or sand in his cracks. The children especially loved the slide, They loved to climb up onto the bus bonnet and imagine they were driving. It reminded him of the children in the dirty, dusty scrapyard all those months ago, and with a warm shiver he felt how lucky he was to have escaped being broken up into pieces. Noisily or quietly, it didn't matter which, he was just happy that they were having fun, and so was he. But then, as summer started to come to an end, there was talk of school, and the children's numbers began to fall. What is going to happen to me now? He wondered. Will I be sent back to the scrapyard? I hope not. He would be sad, of course, if he had to go back to the dirty, dusty scrapyard. But no matter what, this most certainly had been a great adventure, and he had made so many new friends. The children had loved him, and he had given them a fun and exciting place to play. Most of all, he had felt loved and wanted again. Then, suddenly, a very important message arrived just in time. It was a message from the Queen. He had been invited to Buckingham Palace, where he was going to receive a special award for all of his hard work. Wow! JJ was so surprised. Me? He thought. Can this really be true or just a dream? Surely it was he who should say thank you for being rescued and being able to meet so many children. He felt so pleased when he was given his bright, sparkly medal. He beamed proudly in the sunlight. What a great honor! The news of the award spread around town, and many visitors came to see what all the fuss was about. They wanted to see the now famous JJ, the Supersonic Bus. With the older children back at school, JJ was to be given a new adventure, providing a playgroup for the smaller children. The older children would never forget the fun they had, thanks to JJ, all the adventures that he gave them, nor would he forget them. But for now, it was time for a new adventure to begin. I hope you enjoyed this book. And don't forget, have fun, be good for Mommy and Daddy, subscribe and like. Bye-bye.